Now that you're aware that there are two steps to living in the moment or living mindfully, being present, let's get into step number one, building a relationship with yourself. How do we build a relationship with ourselves? No school taught me that. I wasn't taught that in the university. Do we have a course in that? Well, no, there is no formal course in that. This is the experiences of life that teach you this. Being you, developing that relationship with yourself, being happy, being present, being at peace, being satisfied with yourself, being comfortable in your own skin. How do we do that? Most of us just let our life go by and watch it like a passive observer. But does it help us? It does not. And then what happens is when we want to get into it, so much time has passed by that we don't really know who we are because we have been observing from a distance. So what we start doing is we start seeing people who are just going by and we are like, okay, let me start just, becoming like them. So we pick up habits which are not us. We start doing, saying, wearing, appearing as somebody we are completely not. And that's where, the problem starts. That's the beginning of the problem. But that's all right. We all have to go through it just to learn and grow. So don't ever beat yourself up for that, because that is what is going to make you who you are. Because if you have not seen darkness, you will never ever be grateful for the light. So if you have not ever seen yourself as someone else, you will never ever understand the strength, the power, and the uniqueness that you are, and you'll not be able to embrace it. So it is important sometimes for us to give up our identity, take up somebody else's, go and live the world as someone else until one day something happens and it just starts making us question everything about us. How did I reach here? What happened? Why did I become this person? Why am I not feeling happy being this? That person who I was copying is so happy and fulfilled. I am like that person today, but I'm still not happy. I am making so much money, but I'm still not happy. I have a big car today. I'm still not happy. I have a big house today. I'm still not happy. Where did that happiness go away? That happiness went away with the person you left behind. That's the true you. Now you have to go find that person back. And that person is basically you, parts of you which you left behind because you thought that you will not be accepted. That's what human life is more about, isn't it? We are social animals. We always want and long to be accepted. And at what cost? Sometimes we lose the essence of ourselves. We lose our own integrity. We lose our own essence just to fit in. And then when things just don't make us satisfied or happy, or we just have gone through so much of pain and hurt being someone else just to fit in, that's when the awakening starts. That's when we start recognizing that we did lose this beautiful, beautiful, unique being somewhere behind. And now we want to go back in time and bring that person back. We cannot go back in time literally, as in we cannot travel back at that moment or that place, that thing, that year, or that first incident where you lost yourself. But guess what? You can help again bring your essence back into this life of yours. How? Spend some more time with yourself. Somebody had said a very important thing to me once, which changed my life. I had this tendency of always being surrounded by people just because I wanted to submerge myself in the noise and not want to deal with what was going on inside. So I was at one point in my life where I had no choice, but I was by myself. And I reached out to a friend and I was like, hey, what were you doing over the weekend? I was just getting bored. If you were free, you should have just given me a call. He said one thing. Imagine a person who is not happy or is so bored in their own company. What kind of an effect would they have when they're around other people? What would they make the other people feel? Wouldn't the other people be bored of them as well? That's what got me thinking. He was speaking the truth. That how can I think that me being with others is going to make them happy when I being with me am not happy? I feel bored being with myself. I did not know what to do with myself. Can you imagine how pathetic that is? If I do not love myself, how do I expect another person to love me? It's a simple question. I think most of us don't go through these conversations with ourselves. The people we are scared the most of spending time is with ourselves. And this is not just coming from you and me. This is something that is coming from the society. When you live alone, people start asking you questions like, don't you feel lonely? Don't you feel scared? Well, once you have built that relationship with yourself, you will feel anything but lonely. Once you start discovering how beautiful, unique, and amazing you are, there is no going back. There is no going back. You are going to enjoy your own company. That is why most of the psychologists today are telling people and advising people that spend some time alone. Go take a solo trip. Go and spend time by yourself. Read books. Be by yourself. Go away from home. Travel. Try to find yourself. It is so important. And if you think about it, that's how it used to be even in the earlier days before, this entire set of life started, where you have these set of steps how the life is seen as. So step 1, you are born. Step 2, you go to school. Step 3, you go to college. Step 4, you graduate and you start working. Step 5, you get married, and then next you start having children, and after that, when the children grow up, you are just sitting at home getting bored and you don't know what you're doing with your life. You are just like going to work, coming home, and waiting for your life to get over. Do you really think it's a very healthy way of living? If you think so, then I'm not going to judge you, but honestly speaking, I do not advocate that kind of life. It's like you're just letting such a beautiful, beautiful chapter of your life just walk away from you. Why? Because you're so scared of connecting with yourself. You're so scared of knowing who you are. Why wouldn't you want to spend some time with yourself? Earlier, the life was divided in 4 different sets, where the first 25 years, it was like, you were in the Brahmacharya ashram. That's what they used to call them, the ashrams. Brahmacharya ashram, those people used to go to gurukuls. They used to get education. They would learn about science, about how to operate weapons and all those kind of things. They'll get to understand what the physical knowledge is about things, science and history and all those things, languages. Next phase, they would go and spend some time in the jungles or in the forests, go and live a holistic life, where now when they have gained the knowledge, they spend some time with themselves, experiencing everything that life has to offer when you are not in that comfort of your home, when you're not surrounded by people who are looking out for you. Here you have to fend for yourself. So that knowledge that you have and this experience together, that is going to help you become wiser. And in places like this, in circumstances like this, when you go through those deeper and darker times where you are left alone, you're spending the most time with yourself, you are interacting with nature, that's when you are getting grounded. That's when you're getting stretched. That's when your creativity is being tested. How are you going to hunt for yourself? How are you going to fend for yourself? How are you going to cook for yourself? How are you going to build a hut for yourself? How are you going to handle when it rains and that hut washes away? What are you going to do then? What are you going to do if a serpent comes inside your hut at night when you're sleeping? So things like that, when those experiences were actually worked up with the knowledge, that is when they became wiser. And the time that they spent in solitude helped them recognize who they truly are. If they are actually meant to go rule and be the prince of the kingdom, or are they going to go and be a humanitarian who wants to actually go out and work to help with the people? So things like that used to happen in those days. But what happened later? What happened to us? We have skipped that entire step where people were spending time in solitude to recognize who they are. Today, education gets done by say 26, 24, 25. Like if you're doing your masters and then your research and everything, if you are done by 24, 25, you've got a job and everything. Relatives will start saying, get married, and families gonna start putting pressure that get married. But think about it. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you really are? How are you going to accept another person when you don't know who you are, when you have not accepted who you are? How can you wholly accept another person? That is another individual soul. So what you start doing is, you start forcing that person to become like you. And that person is also doing the same thing. They're trying to make you become like them. Totally, completely different people. Both are trying to push and pull each other to become like each other. And guess what happens then? Those relationships either end in compromises, which are not healthy in the long run, or they break. So instead of that, if you spend some time with yourself in solitude, and there's no age, even if you're already married, if you're like 50 years old and now you're watching my video, that's okay. That's all right. You can still spend some time, some quality time with yourself, finding out who you really are. What is it that gives you happiness at the core? Is it you making that money and building those houses, buying those expensive cars, dressing up top to bottom and being presentable always? Or is it just, simple things like, making a beautiful painting, just going and cooking, just building something that you have wanted to build with your own hands? Those are the things that you have to think. Those are the things which give you that peace. And the things that give you the peace are the essence of your soul. Start recognizing those. Start questioning yourself. What is it that gives me peace? Who am I? Why do I believe in what everybody says I am? My parents say that this is what I am. My partner says this is who I am. My friends say this is who I am. But who do I say I am? Why do I take the labels that society or these people give me? Who am I? Find that answer for yourself. Build that beautiful relationship with yourself. Spend some quality time with yourself. Love yourself. Embrace yourself. Celebrate the unique soul that you are. That is going to help you build that relationship with yourself. Because once you start building a good relationship, a healthy relationship with yourself, every relationship in your life is going to become healthy. Because end of the day, everything around us is a projection of our own state of being. So if we are unhealthy in a relationship with an unhealthy relationship with ourselves, that is what is going to happen with everybody else. Versus if we are in a healthy relationship with ourselves, nothing is going to move it. All relationships are going to be healthy. Self-love is important, and self-love is not being selfish. Selfish is at the stake of others, where you are hurting someone else. Self-love is where you stand up for yourself. You're not hurting someone else, but at the same time, you're not even putting yourself as the second priority. So decide what you want to do with yourself. Do you want to love yourself and embrace yourself and build a healthy relationship with yourself? Or do you want to just live in a survival mode where you have just compromised with someone that you have thought yourself to be, but that is a fake version of you? That's what I have for you today. Let's see you in the next video with step number 2, dealing with trauma and healing from it. See you there. Bye. Love you.